Welcome to Discovering Africa Through Technology, the podcast series that showcases the brilliance of Africa's great minds, innovators, and experts as they tackle complex challenges with homegrown solutions driven by knowledge, technology, and innovation. Our podcast is inspired by the African Union Agenda 2063 Aspiration 7, which seeks to rebrand Africa and change negative narratives and perspectives through science, technology, and innovation. We believe that Africa has the power to solve its own development challenges and become a strong, united, resilient, peaceful, and influential global player and partner. Join us as we explore the transformative potential of technology in Africa with your host, Razia Kulatain Mwanga, and learn from the experts driving change on the African continent.
Welcome to Discovering Africa Through Technology, the home of African great minds and solutions. This program, we celebrate African business women who are working to unite other businesses to tap and exploit the spice market globally, valued at over 27.93 billion US dollars by 2023 and expected to rise by 5.6% to 45.61 billion by 2032. We explore what this means to African spice market and what can be done to empower African businesses, especially women, to conquer and dominate the spice market globally and within African continent. I spoke to Adesunbo Adeniran, the visionary and innovator behind the creation of African Women Entrepreneur in Herbs, Spices, and Natural Products to find out where the idea came from, the power and potential of African spices, and what it means for African women, spice producers and sellers. To start us off, tell us more about who Adesunbo Adeniran is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Adesunbo Adeniran, actually based in Nigeria, West Africa. I studied computer science in the University of Ilorin in Nigeria. After university, I moved to telecommunications as a telecoms trainer. Then from there, I worked in the government parastatals, LASTRA, that's Lagos Resident Registration Agency in Lagos, Nigeria, as a hub manager and biometrics verification officer. Then I transitioned to interior design. So along the way, during my interior design work, I started first in organic and natural products. So I started my own organic business, which I used to sell body soap, body butter, hair oil, and the likes. So moving down to during the time of COVID-19, there was a time they were actually looking for cure for COVID. People started using different stuffs just to prevent and also to heal the people that have been contacted already. So an idea came to me that with all this that it's happening, it's very, very possible that the cure for the COVID can actually be in the herbs and spices that we have around us. Because I believe so much in the idea that everything that one needs in life, in any form of any fear, in any area of one's life, that everything that we need is actually around us. So I believe so much that I was like, definitely a cure for this can actually be in the herbs and spices that we have here in Africa. Started doing some research on herbs and spices and natural products. So I thought, okay, for me to even know more about it along the line when I was doing the research, for me to know more about it and how herbs and spices can actually cure diseases. So I think is that I have two options. Is that I go into the business or I go to school to study herbs and spices. So I chose the option of going into the business. I started selling herbs, spices, and natural products. And the name of my business is Arike Holistic Lifestyle Limited, popularly known as Arike. That's what I do. I just sell herbs, spices, and natural products. I source from different countries in Africa.
Thank you very much, Adesunbo. What was your experience when you were trying to source those spices and herbs from other African markets?
No, it's not been easy and still trying to find my way around it. I met with some people online farmers and some suppliers on, like, they were not able to really give me what I want, because what I actually wanted was indigenous herbs and spices, not the one that have been imported from other countries. So they were not able to really give me that solution. And that was when I thought I actually have to do something about this.
Thank you, Adesumbo. So the challenge that you found when you are trying to source for these spices and herbs is what probably brought you to think of this idea.
Yes, with a way to bring everybody, farmers, suppliers, manufacturers of herbs, spices, and natural. There's a way we could just communicate or talk together, and let's see how we can just do business among ourselves. So that was the initial idea for it.
Thank you so much, Adesumbo. The African spice and herbs extracts market, as per 2023, was valued at 26.88, and it is expected to rise to 27.93 billion by 2024 onwards. Yeah. You have told us that you had problems trying to source and get the right extracts. So what inspired the idea of coming up with this organization?
During my search for African herbs and spices from other African countries and even within Nigeria, I first came up with a Facebook group, but I couldn't really get much people to join. So I have to look for another way to go about it. So I actually joined the Impact Hub. So Impact Hub had the program, and we have different people from Africa in the program to make people join. So when they join, we'll be able to solve some of the problems I've seen, because I've seen a whole lot of problems. I've communicated with different category of people in the industry, the educated, the non-educated, old, and the young. So I've seen that there are really lots of problems that we need to really solve to be able to make this industry go forward and also have a market share in the international market. So that was when I threw it in during the program, and I have a lot of people that actually joined. And since then, people have really been joining. So it's because of that problem, the problem of trying to source for herbs and spices. It's not really easy. Even when you're in Africa, it's not so easy to be able to get the herbs and spices in Africa, let alone people that are outside of Africa. So that was why I came up with the idea of coming up with the organization so that we can solve that problem and some other problems that we have around.
That is very nice, Adesumbo. That came out very clearly that despite African being the home of many spices, and most of the African countries we live in, we use spices and herbs for different things. Yes. I am a bit surprised that it was hard to find the right spices, because like everywhere you go in our markets, you find there are all the spices. Maybe the problem could be the quality of the spices and also not maximizing the internal markets that we have. I just want to know that when you are trying to source for these spices in other countries, was there any particular country that impressed you getting whatever you wanted in terms of quality?
My interest was actually on Tanzania, the spices they have there that actually have interest in Tanzania and Ghana.
How was that experience?
I was not able to get anyone from Tanzania to communicate with them. Yeah, I was able to get one or two people from Ghana, but Tanzania I was not able to get it. But I saw some things that I think we might need to showcase there.
Now, down the line, you have seen a potential, you have met these women, and you have started this group. How is it working, and what is the vision behind? What do you intend to do in it?
The African women entrepreneurs in herbs, spices, and natural products was actually created to solve accessibility of African grown herbs, spices, and natural products, either within Africa or outside Africa. So we want to make sure that we have, irrespective of the country you are in, either within Africa or outside Africa, you are able to have access to indigenous herbs and spices, and also our natural products. And also we trying to see how we can make sure that other people in the other continents have access to our herbs and spices, even if you are not an African person. you are from another continent, but you have interest in our herbs and spices, it should be readily accessible to you. And also we want them to be able to know our herbs and spices. So we are trying to create awareness around that. And also, the organization is also to foster research on herbs, spices, and natural products. I've noticed that some of the herbs and spices that we have, a whole lot of them are being imported into the country. And most of the ones that are imported into the country, we also have them in Africa. But because people don't really know that we have them in Africa, they've been buying the ones that have been imported into the country. Are trying to look for a way to make sure that we are much more research is being done on our own herbs, spices, and natural products, so that we can match it with the international names and international markets. Asians and Indians, they've already done their own research. They have indigenous name for their own herbs and spices, but there is also an international name, a botanical name that everybody knows. So when people are reading about the herbs and spices, they only know the ones for the international name. So when they're trying to match it with, oh, let me see if we even have it in our country or in our continent, they don't get to like have something to match it with. So along the way, I discovered that we actually have some of these herbs and spices, but people just don't know that we have them, because when you go to the indigenous markets, you discover that you have some of the things you are saying that people are importing. You also find them there, but people don't know the local name. Because they know the international name, that's the global name, but they don't know the local name. So they cannot match it together. So they end up buying from the imported, they end up buying the imported ones. So the organization is also to see how we can foster the research around that, so that we can match the international market with our own markets. And also to encourage exportation. We need to really export. African continent is not really doing so well. I can say we are part of people that see the lowest when it comes to exportation of our herbs and spices. So we need to look for ways to really export more. So the organization is also looking at how we can make that happen. We have to export more of our herbs and spices, and also to empower our women or people in the industry to be able to make up their products or showcase their product to the international standard. Our packaging, our labeling, our branding has to be international standard. Even though you are operating locally, you should be able to think globally. We should be able to make sure that our resource, our packaging, our labeling, our products are up to international standards, so that they won't be rejected anywhere it's been exported to. And also exhibition, we want to make sure we go for exhibitions within Africa and outside Africa, so that we can showcase what we have. So that's what we are doing.
Adesumbo, that is quite inspiring.
Thank you.
Africans, we have so many spices, and most of our spices are organic, but
Yes.
we don't sell that. There's this tendency that Africans think that what is imported from other countries is better than what they have. But for us who have used African spices, homegrown, and the ones that we buy in other supermarkets, the taste is different compared to our African spices. I also like the idea of identifying what we have, because it's not only that we have those global spices that have similar names, but we also have some other African spices that do the same things, but are not known because they come from different countries. And because they are not identified, yes, so we tend to go for other spices. Listening to you and hearing all these good things that you are doing about it, I like the vision behind to unite African women to showcase our spices and market them globally, because it is, as we have seen, it is such a big market and the demand is there. And also another problem that you noted was that our branding, as much as we have all these things, yes, the branding is always, yes, very poor. And when you see the way people brand their things and ours is different. And when we, yes, do all these things, plus when we brand them and we do exhibitions, we shall open up the market for people to come and take what we have. What has the African women entrepreneur in herbs, spices, and natural products done so far?
Right now, we are about 200 women. We are focusing a whole lot on awareness. And so far, we started a lot of online awareness. People are getting to know us. We've been meeting with organizations to collaborate with, so that they can train our women on different areas that we need to understand and know, so that they can train our women also on standardization, on quality assurance, on labeling and packaging. And also we have a panel discussion coming up very soon, like few weeks time. So the panel discussion is going to be showing more light on the industry. We'll be talking about the herbs and spices industry, inviting guests. So that way we are solving the problem, letting people know what we have, getting people to know about herbs and spices we have in the continent, and also to educate people on our resources, on our herbs and spices, and every other things that we have them to know. So we'll be discussing, picking people from among us to talk about it, and also inviting outside guests to come and talk about the other spices. So right now we are focusing on awareness and training.
Thank you so much again, Adesunbo, for that. Everything has been said and everything is in motion. As we look forward into the future, what does the vision hold for African women entrepreneur in herbs and spices and natural products?
A whole lot. Of course, as the years goes by, every woman in the organization should be able to make known our home brand to the outside world. And also, I expect that the market share of African in the herbs and spices market industry would have grown to a large extent. And I expect that every product, either the herbs, spices, or natural products of the women in the organization will have been known in other countries that they wish to export to. So since we've been doing a lot of exhibitions and we'll be going for exhibitions, I expect that, of course, even people in Africa, Africans in other continents, and even people in other continents will be able to have access to our product easily and know more about products. So there's a lot of advantage for whoever that is in the organization. They'll have a lot of knowledge at their disposal.
Thank you. My takeaway, more knowledge, showcasing African brands, and making the world know what Africa has, tapping into the global market because it's big and it needs more spices. As we finish this interview, what is your final word?
Yeah, my final word is to women in the industry. So I will just encourage them to join the movement so that we can really make the industry a good one for us. So we can really gain. There are lots to gain in the industry. There are lots of potentials in the industry. So I will encourage women in the industry that are not in the organization to join the organization so that they can actually benefit from all these things that we have laid down and some other ones that we have added to later. And also, I will really hope that organizations and governments will be able to support us to be able to achieve all this, because believe me, we cannot do everything on our own. We need the support of organization, public and private, and also the government to support the movement. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adesunbo Adeniran, the visionary and innovator behind the creation of the African Women Entrepreneur in Herbs, Spices, and Natural Products, for coming and sharing your insights on the vision behind starting this network. The spice and herbs market is very big in Africa. We have so many good spices in Africa that people do not know where they are. And also, we have a problem of packaging and branding our spices. That is why we are missing out. And also there is a disconnect between getting products and supplying. I love the idea that now she has found a solution of bringing together African women who are working in this ecosystem and space so that they can train them and empower them with skills on how to increase their visibility and market African spices and herbs internationally. Because all it takes is to have the right attitude, to know where we can source these spices and how to package them and prepare ourselves for export readiness and internal market. Because also, as we realize, we've got a big market internally. We need, first of all, to satisfy the internal African market before we go globally. So thank you so much for tuning in to Discovering Africa Through Technology, the home of African experts with African solutions. Until next time, this has been your host, Razia Kulatein Mwawanga. Until next time, as we bring you great African minds and experts as they unpack African challenges with African solutions.